the youngest of five.
She was more a tomboy than a little girl. When we were living in Dewsbury, she climbed up the feed mill, got up to the height where good sense took charge of her, but she couldn't climb down. So her brother had to go up and bring her down. She wasn't afraid of anything.
Vicky was pretty special to me. She loved animals. She was pretty close with her sister, Sarah. And she had a tattoo.
In 2004, when Victoria is 16 years old, tragedy strikes.
She was with her boyfriend and a friend of hers and her friend's boyfriend, and they were coming back from Spruce View on Highway 54. Vicky's boyfriend was driving, and he was doing way too fast. He was doing 100 feet.
Victoria is involved in a horrific car crash.
And most of where the damage, when you looked at the picture, was on the spot where Vicky was sitting.
And her head was sideways on the roof while she was upside down. She couldn't get out. And all the pressure, I think it took 45 minutes to an hour for the ambulance to arrive. And by the time that they arrived, there was so much pressure on her neck, it had snapped.
It's devastating. But the accident leaves a prognosis. To Victoria and her family's relief, the baby in utero accident. Three months after the crash, a healthy baby girl is born. In honor of the fact that they both survived the crash, Victoria names the baby girl Destiny.
Because in fact, down at the hospital in shooting it on film. That is what came from her to help other paraplegics when they come in.
And it also inspired me to be better, work harder. I see my sister in a position where not too many people are in, and most people that are in that position will go in the opposite direction. And she fought so hard. It was just in her nature. It's our family's nature. That's what we do.
One of the first things the Shakte family does after the birth of Destiny is look for a new, more accessible home. Finding a house that is move-in ready is difficult, so a couple that the family is friends with recommend a home builder they know.
He had renovated the house that her mom had lived in to make it more accessible.
The Shakte family is introduced to Brian Malley, a construction manager who lives in the Innisfail area. Malley offers to build them an accessible home at cost. He can even move the Shakte family into his recently deceased grandmother's house while they wait for the new home to be ready. It's even wheelchair accessible. Using the money from the sale of their family home, Malley oversees the construction of a new house for the Shaktes. And then a windfall comes that changes everything. In 2007, 3 years after the accident, Victoria is awarded a large financial settlement. The award is a huge sum for a family in need of assistance. Suddenly, Victoria's family no longer has the worry about the financial costs of Victoria's injuries.
And when she was old enough to move out on her own, I think she had just moved into her condo. The only thing that she bought for herself was her van. It was set up for her to be able to drive. That was her independence. She was so proud of that.
She was able to accomplish a lot more than she had expected.
By now, Mally is a close friend of the family. They learn that he works as a financial advisor for a wealth management company, investing money on behalf of a number of clients in the Innisfail community.
He promised to help us out. I know he's a money guy too, right? So he's right in there. He can help in all the facets of your life that you need.
Victoria transfers the entire amount of her settlement into an investment account he manages.
Her stepdad was friends with Brian, and because he had helped renovate the house, he trusted him.
He was very friendly, and we all got along and had a good time. We all considered him a family friend.
Mally suggests Victoria borrow an additional $264,000 to increase her returns. He pitches it as the more money she invests, the more she'll make. Brian Mally now has control of the entirety of Victoria's account. Things are seemingly going well for Victoria. She's raising Destiny, and with the help of her caregiver Marlene, living independently. She's even regained a lot of the movement in one of her arms.
I would go over and spend weekends with her and Destiny. I had time for her and she had time for me. And Destiny was growing up. She had time. And we spent many happy hours together.
But there are some concerns about how Mally is handling her finances.
When she lived in Red Deer, right before she moved to Innisfail, Brian was withholding a lot of money. Like, Vicky would ask for money to pay the rent or bills or car payment, and it would take a lot of coaxing for him to actually give it to her.
On November 25th, 2011, Marlene finds an early Christmas gift mysteriously left out on the front step that morning. Feeling uneasy about the strange early Christmas gift, Marlene advises Victoria not to touch it. With no indication as to who sent it, they put the gift aside as she and Marlene head to Victoria's stepfather's house. He has a more accessible shower, so that morning, Marlene takes her there to wash up.
And then she says to me, "Dad, do you know anything about this package that was found in my step this morning?" I said to her, "Was there any identifying marks on it? Was it to say it was from or not?" She said, "Nothing. It's blank." And so my suspicious mind right away says, "Well, don't open it." I thought I had her convinced of that.
Marlene brings Victoria back home before her daughter Destiny is due to return. Marlene reminds Victoria of what her stepfather had just told her: do not touch the package and to call the police. Tragically, it's too late.
When you bring a Ruggable rug into your space, you're bringing in more than just a rug. With Ruggable, you can let your true colors in. Let the 5-second rule in. Let new traditions in. Let that familiar feeling in. With Ruggable washable rugs, you can let life in. Choose from thousands of world-class designs, all made with our patented two-piece system. Ruggable, designed to let life in.
This is the sound of this season's favorite gift. For a limited time, Omaha Steaks is offering the favorite gift package that includes our famous bacon-wrapped filet mignon, our delicious air-chilled chicken breast, burgers, franks, sides, and desserts, all for just $89.99. That's 64% off. Order now to include 4 more burgers free. This exclusive TV offer is our best of the season and won't last. Order today at omahasteaks.com/TV.
I love this.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on getting you the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. But don't worry, we've got a lot more than that going for us. Woo.
Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have flip phones like the Iris Flip. If you're someone that doesn't need all that mumbo-jumbo and just wants something simple. And now, we even have watches.
We do.
No matter what device you choose, you'll be happy to know that if your data needs change,
No problem.
with our Smart Flex feature, you don't have to sweat it. Like say you're on a road trip out west and end up using a bunch of data. We can simply flex you up to the next data tier for as little as $5. Then, when you get home, you can flex right back down with no penalty, so you only pay for what you actually need.
With Consumer Cellular, you get the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost.
I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Will our award-winning customer service help me switch over or add a line for $15 to make my own family plan?
Of course they will.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
You see that tower out there? It's a beauty. And there are thousands more like it, working hard for me and you, supplying 5G coverage to this beautiful nation of ours. We know how important coverage is. That's why we offer a risk-free guarantee. If you're not satisfied within 30 days of activation, you can pay nothing. Oh, look.
New customers save $50 when you sign up today. Call 800-311-5340. Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
Carvana same-day delivery is ultra fast, and today, race car driver Jimmy Johnson is here to get us even faster.
Order it. Bill's coming in. We're good.
Oh, nice racing stripes.
Thanks, Jan.
Amazing. I just ordered it this morning. Buy your car from Carvana and get same-day delivery.
With classic prints and one-of-a-kind designs, you're guaranteed to find something your family will love. Turn everyday moments into holiday memories. Start your family tradition at cadenlane.com.
Innisfail, Alberta, Isle of Destiny, a peaceful town in which to raise a family. But this peace is shattered. 23-year-old Victoria is a single mother and survivor of a terrible car crash. She receives a mysterious package in the mail. Victoria's neighbor, Evan Shilk, is a volunteer firefighter. He calls 911 and races to the house. Because of his training as a firefighter, Evan is able to run into the house and look for signs of life. He confirms that tragically, Victoria hasn't survived the blast. Evan and Marlene wait for first responders to arrive. A member of law enforcement calls the family to inform them of the tragic news. Soon after, there's a knock on Victor Shakti's door.
It's my daughter, Sarah, and she says, Dad, they've killed Vicky. And I said, what?
We immediately got into the car and we drove to Isabel and gave the police their statement.
After the RCMP are informed of the blast, a multi-unit team of investigators are hastily formed and dispatched to Victoria's home.
I got a phone call from my mom, so I turned the news on just in time to see a helicopter going over, telling me about an explosion in Innisfail. And I noticed it was at my sister's complex, and I lost it. Right? That's my baby sister.
I'm still dumbfounded about what the heck happened.
My dad had to identify the body, so I don't know if he's gonna ever get over that, having to see his baby girl. Like that was the youngest, was the baby of the family, right? And they were close, very close. So I saw my dad break. He was a broken man, and he was one of the strongest men that I knew. And I never ever wanted to see that from my dad again.
It's immediately clear. This is a homicide investigation. Victoria's death is not an accident.
The nature of the wounds that she suffered would certainly reveal a pattern that would give an origin. So the explosion occurred in one place and spread out from that location. So it would be simple to detect that the explosion occurred on her lap.
Before forensics or police can inspect the scene, the explosive disposal unit must search the house to ensure that there aren't any other explosive devices on the premises.
The explosive disposal unit is comprised of a group of officers who are specifically trained to detect and disarm explosive devices or properly dispose of explosive devices in a safe manner.
Not only does the team conduct a highly dangerous job while searching for a live bomb, they must do a preservation of the forensic evidence while doing so.
This isn't just the site of an explosion. It has to be considered in terms of being a crime scene. So there's an extensive amount of evidence that is located. It needs to be preserved. It also needs to be detected, and it can be scattered over a wide area.
The EDU find no further explosive devices. It's time for the forensic team to begin their work.
Forensic investigators are basically looking for anything that can be taken to the lab for further analysis. This would include objects such as fabric samples, piece of carpet, DNA, fingerprints, or even blood splatter.
They carefully bag everything that can be taken into evidence. Miraculously, the note and tape attached to the package has survived the blast. It, too, is bagged.
Soon investigators find what they believe are materials that are from a bomb. These items would include a galvanized steel pipe, smokeless gunpowder, and a lantern battery. This is extremely important evidence to retrieve because once back at the lab, they can fully examine and confirm accuracy of the items that were used as a detonation device.
The Major Crimes Unit of the RCMP are the next to scour the scene. They take photographs and try to piece together a timeline. Together, investigators collect hundreds of pieces of evidence. Corporal Canwardeep Dayhill with the Major Crime Unit is the lead investigator on the case. Detectives start interviewing everyone in Victoria's circle. Investigators interview Victoria's financial advisor, Brian Malley. When detectives ask about the investments he's made on Victoria's behalf, Malley is candid. He tells them that the money is all gone. Malley informs the detectives that the account is drained. Victoria only has a few $1,000s left in her account. He explains that when Victoria first received the money, they sat down together to come up with a monthly budget. But the second year after the payment, the market becomes unfavorable. He asks her to decrease her spending, but she was unable to do so. According to Malley, Victoria was giving a lot of money to her family members, including her sister and one of her brothers. This is very surprising news. It's a lot of money to have lost in a short amount of time. Investigators ask Malley where he was during the window of the time around the bombing.
Malley tells detectives that the evening before the explosion, he was traveling from Red Deer to Innisfil to see a colleague where he would pick up some building supplies.
Malley claims that after getting back home that night, He went out to get some dinner and then returns to watch TV until bed.
His wife's in Edmonton at the ballet. On the morning of the detonation, Brian drives to Edmonton on business.
Later, investigators are contacted by Brian Malley, who tells them that he has information on a new promising lead, that there may be a drug connection to the bombing involving a family member. According to Malley, Victoria's brother has addiction issues and associates with drug traffickers. He may even be one himself. Malley suggests to the detectives that Victoria's death is a drug hit, retaliation against her brother for a deal gone sour.
One of my younger brothers had a crack habit earlier. That was ridiculous to even state that. They don't go after family members. If you owe money, they're coming after you.
Lead major crimes investigator Sergeant Dayhill soon discovers another possible lead. This one is also connected to the drug world. Victoria had called the RCMP to report her neighbors. The building was a high-traffic drug market, and she had called it in. Investigators look into whether or not the bomb may have been a revenge hit.
Gangs have been known in the past to use explosives or bombs to either intimidate witnesses or to affect the abilities of their rivals. It's completely possible that this could be connected to gang activity.
As investigators look into this lead further, they also turn their attention back to Brian Malley. They discover that the investment manager may not have been entirely forthcoming with them during their first interview. It's Brian's recklessness, not Victoria's, that leads to her financial losses. Investigators learn that Brian invests close to 92% of Victoria's entire portfolio in one highly risky stock without adequately informing her. When the stock collapses, so does Victoria's wealth.
Investing someone's entire stock portfolio in a single stock without properly advising them of the associated risks is a serious breach of fiduciary duty. It is in contravention of the regulations of the Alberta Securities Commission.
Victoria calls Brian's office to transfer money from her investment into her checking account. The receptionist tells her that Brian's on a fishing trip, but she adds that he wouldn't have been able to transfer from that account anyway. It's being closed due to a lack of funds.
On the 21st of November, I got a phone call from my sister saying, "I'm so sorry, I can't give you no money. Apparently I'm broke." I'm like, "What do you mean you're broke?" She goes, "I don't know. I phoned to the office. Brian wasn't there. His secretary had looked at my file and said that the file was closed. I have to figure out what's going on."
Victoria has no idea that her money is gone. Suddenly, she has nothing. Detectives learn that one of the reasons for this is that Malley has been hiding the losses caused by his recklessness. To hide the fact that he lost her money, Brian transfers a total of $44,000 of his own money into her account over 2 years. The only reason Victoria finds out is because she happened to call while he was away. Victoria visits Malley's office a number of times, demanding to be paid back.
She's starting to push back, letting him know that she's aware of his deception. He probably perceives this as a threat.
Corporal Dayhill now has enough to begin surveillance on Malley.
Saving money is always exciting. That's why right now is the perfect time for you to join AARP. You get hundreds of benefits, resources, and tools that can help you save money, stay healthy, have fun, and make a difference in your life. Plus discounts at top retailers on dining, travel, and more. Join now to get your first year for just $12 with automatic renewal, plus a second membership for free.
Wow, that's a great deal, but I'm not retired.
Oh, you don't have to be retired. AARP is dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age.
Great, but how much can I really save?
Up to 15% off at restaurants, up to 30% off car rentals, plus free movie screenings, digital books, online games, and more. You'll even get AARP the magazine. Join now. Call or go to joinaarp.org to get your first full year for just $12 with automatic renewal, Plus, get a second membership and a trunk organizer for free.
1-800-794-1435.
Anyone home?
And here, Aunt Jean.
How's it going, honey?
There's a lot to take care of. More sympathy cards.
Your mom was well loved. I hope you know how grateful she was to have you.
I know. Speaking of grateful, what is it? It's a check from United of Omaha Life Insurance Company. Mom's life insurance.
Life insurance? So soon?
Just like they said.
My sister, always looking out for her family.
I can still hear her. I don't want my bills to be your problem. This check will help a lot.
If you're age 45 to 85, you can't be turned down for up to $25,000 in life insurance from United of Omaha. Policies start at just $6.38 a month, and benefits could be paid in as little as 24 hours.
How did she qualify? You know, with her health issues.
With these policies, health issues don't matter. She was so relieved.
Policies are available with no health questions, no medical exam, no blood tests.
I just assumed life insurance would be way over my budget.
No one kept a tighter budget than Mom. If she can manage the rates, you can too.
But did her rates go up every year?
Nope. There's a rate lock built into the policy.
Policies start at just $6.38 a month. Your rate is locked in for life. The cost of a funeral can be $9,000 or more. With one call, you can give your loved ones the protection they need to help pay these costs. And unlike some policies, benefits are payable from the first day.
Mom just felt better knowing we'd have help, and I couldn't be more grateful. You should call United of Omaha.
I guess I'll never stop learning from my big sister.
Don't put off life insurance. Call United of Omaha today.
Call 800-951-6921. You can't be turned down. Call today to lock in your rates. 800-951-6921. That's 800-951-6921.
Coming up next on True Crime Network.
An explosive device delivered in a Christmas gift bag takes the life of 23-year-old Victoria Shakte. A multidisciplinary team of highly trained experts comb through the debris to find evidence. They're now looking for additional information that may point towards someone who would want her dead. Investigators turn their attention to Victoria's financial planner, Brian Malley, whose reckless investments have emptied her account. The RCMP Major Crimes Unit conducts a surveillance operation on Malley. During the operation, detectives secure a napkin that Brian throws out at a fast food restaurant.
The likelihood of the perpetrator's DNA likely surviving the blast is slim, but just in this case, they would like a comparison.
Financial records from as far back as July show that Brian had been purchasing the same materials that the bomb is made of. This means that Malley had been planning this murder for 4 months. A piece of galvanized steel pipe, gunpowder, end cap, light switch, lantern battery, and tiny light bulbs found at the scene are all on Malley's shopping list. Meanwhile, the forensic unit on the investigation surprises everyone. Members of the forensic team are able to lift DNA from the card and tape that had been adhered to the explosive device.
Finding DNA evidence in an explosion is like finding a diamond in the rough. It's that one off chance that investigators and professionals hope for. It's evidence that you weren't likely thinking you will find.
Investigators compare this DNA sample with the one they collect from Brian at the fast food restaurant. The DNA found on the bomb is consistent with Malley's, but not exact.
It's likely that experts found a high comparison value of maybe 50 to 70%, but the match is not conclusive.
On May 25th, 2012, Brian Malley is arrested for 1 count of first-degree murder and 2 counts related to causing an explosion and sending a person an explosive device.
When the cops arrested him, it was 6 months to the day. And when they came over to tell me who they arrested, I was pretty shocked.
He was the last person that anybody would think. He was a friend of the family. He was at the funeral.
Once I found out it was Brian, then a sudden rage started boiling. Not only Vicky, it was for Destiny too. He took away her mother and took away her future, for God's sakes.
1 month after his arrest, Brian is released on a $20,000 bond. He and his wife move in with his mother-in-law in Edmonton. Although Malley has been charged, investigators still look at other possible suspects.
It is important that investigators keep an open mind, even though they may have charged a suspect with an offense. There may be other people involved. There may be other evidence to be gathered. The investigation doesn't come to an end just because a charge has been laid.
When examining Victoria's call to report a drug house next door, detectives learned that Victoria had done so anonymously. There's no way her neighbors could know it was her. Besides, she made the call years ago. Given these factors, the likelihood that it's a revenge drug hit is very slim. Investigators also examine the possibility that the bombing is a targeted killing by her brother's rivals. Using the resources at their disposal, the MCU find nothing to support this theory. They turn their attention back to Malley. Investigators suspect that Malley spends months building a bomb in a rented garage in order to eliminate a client who's become a major problem. Malley complains to associates that Victoria is a burden to him. He describes her as stubborn and lazy because, according to him, she overspends and refuses to get a job.
These kinds of comments shed light on the attitude that this person had towards his clients. Very flippant, callous, almost disrespectful regard for his client and their money.
Investigators look at what kind of person Malley really is. Detectives learn something surprising. Malley used to be one of them. From 1979 to 1982, Malley is a constable with the Edmonton Police Force. But after 3 years, he's dismissed for conduct unbecoming of an officer. Investigators also discover that Malley marries his first wife when she was 16. They divorce after she accuses him of threatening violence and death against her and their daughter. Malley's second marriage ends when he became involved with a co-worker, who eventually marries him. The co-worker, Christine, is in fact the branch manager at the investment office for which he works. She is supposed to be overseeing his investment decisions.
This is a serious conflict of interest when your wife is your manager because they're the ones that are supposed to be overseeing your decisions. This is also against the regulations of the Securities Commission.
Meanwhile, the community, many whom trust their hard-earned life savings to Malley, watch in shock, realizing this prominent community member is not who he says he is.
Most of the people in town knew and liked Mr. Malley. I think they felt betrayed and hurt.
It changed that town. It's not a small town anymore. It's got big city problems.
In January 2015, Brian Malley's murder trial begins.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves in giving you fast, reliable, nationwide coverage at up to half the cost of the leading carriers. But don't worry, we've got more than that going for us. Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it.
We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have a flip phone, like the Iris Flip. We even have watches. I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
New customers save $50 when you sign up today. Call 800-918-5494. Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
Get ready to save big this holiday season. Enjoy up to 25% off Caden Lane's top-selling gifts for babies and kids. Get your shopping done all in one place. Shop Caden Lane today.
Have you compared your Medicare plan recently? With eHealth, you can compare Medicare plans side by side. So we invited people to give eHealth a try and discover how easy it can be to find your Medicare match.
This is pretty amazing.
Very helpful.
And I do like that it covers dental, vision, and hearing.
I can go on a vacation with this money.
I have quite a few prescriptions.
That's why people call us. I got all your prescriptions. I got your doctors as well. This plan has a $0 monthly premium.
I love zero.
The zero copay is what I'm looking for.
I'm going to go ahead and compare the different brands.
That's perfect.
All right, so are we happy with our selection?
You're so helpful. You don't know.
Perfect. I'm excited for you, sir.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was super easy.
See how your Medicare plan stacks up with the big changes for 2025. Just call this number or visit eHealth.com. Compare plans with $0 monthly premiums. Compare plans with allowances for dental, vision, and over-the-counter healthcare items. Compare plans from the nation's top insurance companies, including United Healthcare, Humana, and more. They pay us to help you. That's how eHealth is always a free service. How much do you think you'll be able to save using eHealth?
At least $300 a month.
Would you say you found your Medicare match?
Yes, I did. When Sam did, she explained to me exactly what I needed to know.
Well, I have a surprise for you. Cham, come on out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pleasure to meet you today, sir. What does it feel like to be face to face?
You helped me out quite a bit.
Call to meet your advisor and ask about eHealth Live Advice. Or get started on your own at eHealth.com. See if you could get more for less using eHealth, like these folks did.
The savings are unbelievable.
I could see the costs side by side.
Now that we know that it's a free service, eHealth is just, I think, the best.
Call 1-800-605-0984 to compare Medicare plans in your area or visit eHealth.com.
eHealth, your Medicare matchmaker.
Brian Malley is arrested and charged with first-degree murder, as well as 2 other counts related to creating and sending an explosive device. A month later, he's released on $20,000 bail. Detectives learn more about Malley's past, including that he was a cop dismissed for conduct unbecoming of an officer. They discover that the woman in charge of managing his work as an investor is, in fact, his wife.
It's a huge conflict of interest, and it contravenes the regulations of the Security Commission's rules around wealth management.
On January 15th, Brian Malley's trial begins. The Crown calls a number of witnesses, including Marlene, Victoria's caregiver. She testifies that only the night before, she and Victoria were celebrating her new working visa with a pizza party. Marlene states that 10 days before her death, Victoria called Malley, demanding the financial advisor pay back the money he allegedly owes her. She also recounts how she tells Victoria not to open the package and the trauma of being in the apartment while the bomb went off. It's Corporal Dayhill's turn to testify. Jurors hear about the inconclusive match between the DNA found on the bomb and the sample they pick up during the surveillance operation. Corporal Dayhill testifies he learned that Malley had been speaking disrespectfully to Victoria in the months before her death. Malley complains that she's lazy and a drain on the system.
I bit my tongue pretty hard because that was the one time in the courtroom that I actually wanted to scream out. And I didn't. I'm proud of myself for not doing it because that was hard.
Corporal Dayhill also testifies that months after the explosion, a pipe matching the description of that used in the bomb was dug up from the residence of Mally's mother-in-law. It only has one end cap, and Mally purchases only one end cap. The pipe used in the bomb has two.
Apparently, they did find a bunch of different attempts. He had been working on it for a bit. It was definitely a lot of thought went into this.
This evidence is circumstantial. It's certainly not conclusive in any way, but it's definitely something the defense is going to rely on in an attempt to create reasonable doubt.
The defense also argues that because Mally is an avid hunter, it makes sense that he would purchase gunpowder. Same as with the other materials used: the pipe, small light bulbs, and batteries, all materials that a home contractor would have.
The defense ends up calling a pipe fitter to testify that these kinds of materials would be normally used in everyday by a home contractor.
This is what they think he's going to say.
However, what the pipe fitter actually ends up saying is that he's never seen a pipe like this used for everyday use. So it completely backfires for the defense.
When asked why he had said this before, he claims he didn't recall saying it and that he was probably very nervous. About 2 weeks into the trial, the judge received some disturbing information. A security guard and 7 jurors expressed complaints to the judge. The reason is shocking. The group comes forward to the judge to explain that Brian's wife, Christine, has been secretly recording and taking photos of them as they exit and enter the courtroom. Juror 9 is interviewed by the judge 3 separate times. Each time she expresses concern for her safety and the safety of her family. She tells the judge that she's concerned about what Christine might do with the pictures, including that she might make them public. But despite her worries, at the end of the 3rd interview, when the judge formally asks, she confirms that she can still carry on her duty according to her oath. The judge doesn't relieve her, and the juror doesn't ask to be relieved.
Tampering with a jury is a very serious offense because it can intimidate jurors and prevent them from making an unbiased decision, which is crucial to the functioning of our legal system. And so Christine's conduct in this case comes very close to qualifying as an offense under the criminal code as obstruction of justice. The judge ends up excluding Christine from the courtroom, so she's not allowed to enter the courtroom at any time unless she is acting as a witness.
Although the case against Brian is strong, his defense is confident. The jury deliberates for 6 hours.
6 hours really isn't a lot of time for a jury to deliberate. So regardless of the outcome, it means that they're really certain one way or the other.
The verdict is in. Guilty of first-degree murder as well as the additional 2 counts. Brian is sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years.
And I was sitting at the back of the seats. When they started reading out the verdict, moved from the back to the front row right behind them. And that's one thing that I still don't understand why they did it. But they let him kiss his wife and his daughter goodbye. They didn't let me kiss Vicky goodbye. They couldn't, but they let him.
The guilty verdict and the fact that the guilty verdict was arrived at so quickly means that the jury was very convinced by the prosecution's evidence.
But the defense has a strong case for appeal.
Hi, I'm Damian Clark. I'm here to help you understand how to get the most from Medicare. If you're eligible for Medicare, it's a good idea to have Original Medicare. It gives you coverage for doctor office visits and hospital stays. But if you want even more benefits, you can choose the Medicare Advantage plan, like the ones offered at Humana. Our plans combine original Medicare with extra benefits in a single convenient plan with $0 or low monthly plan premiums. These plans could even include prescription drug coverage with $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions. And Medicare Advantage plans ensure that your covered medical costs will never go above a maximum out-of-pocket amount that you know beforehand. Most Humana Medicare Advantage plans include dental coverage with $0 copays for covered preventive dental services, vision coverage that includes vision exams and a yearly allowance towards eyewear, even hearing benefits, including routine hearing exams and coverage towards hearing aids. There are $0 copays for in-network preventive services like annual wellness visits, mammograms, and prostate exams, and $0 copays for routine vaccines and telehealth visits. You get worldwide coverage for emergency and urgent care when you travel, so you can have peace of mind when you're away from home. And of course, you should be able to see the providers you like. That's why Humana works with multiple large plan networks of doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. So get the most from Medicare with the Humana Medicare Advantage plan. You can have more coverage than with original Medicare with $0 or low monthly plan premiums and a yearly cap on your out-of-pocket costs. It's called Medicare Advantage for a reason. So call a licensed Humana sales agent today to learn more and to request a free decision guide. Remember, annual enrollment for Medicare Advantage plans ends December 7th. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
And so, Vic, it's done.
I just sold my car to Carvana.
I just entered my license plate and I
Answered a few questions. Bam!
I'm dropping off and getting paid today.
How convenient is that?
Thanks for choosing Carvana. Sell your car today and get paid the same day with Carvana.
This is the sound of the season's favorite gift. For a limited time, Omaha Steaks is offering the favorite gift package that includes our famous bacon-wrapped filet mignon, our delicious air-chilled chicken breast, burgers, franks, sides, and desserts, all for just $89.99. That's 64% off. Order now to include 4 more burgers free. This exclusive TV offer is our best of the season and won't last. Order today at omahasteaks.com/TV.
I love this. $15 for coffee? These prices are insane, especially when I got these Just Fab boots for only $10.
Just Fab. Cute shoes for less than your morning coffee. One slip up. Expose their deadly secrets. Investigate the key downfalls
The stupid things that this man did.
of the most ruthless criminals. A killer's mistake. Next on True Crime Network.
The verdict is in. Guilty of first-degree murder, as well as 2 other counts related to creating and sending an explosive device. Brian's defense team appeals.
Brian appeals on the grounds that the jurors were clearly afraid of Christine because of her actions, specifically juror number 9, and that because of that, they had an inherent bias towards him. So this crime does have the potential to be effective. This argument could also work against them because common sense would indicate that intimidation could actually cause a juror to be biased in the other direction by causing them to be fearful for their own safety if they convict.
Brian's defense uses juror number 9 as part of their argument, stating that the jury member clearly expresses that they were in fear of their own safety and that of their families after discovering Christine's activities. The defense argues that this clearly biases the juror. If they're scared of the accused wife, how can they claim not to be biased? In the appeal, the defense also claims that investigators didn't do enough to look at alternative suspects.
While it's an argument that does seem to have some teeth to it, in the end it is dismissed, and part of the reason why it's dismissed is because this wasn't raised by the defense at the time of the trial.